Yeah, welcome to the Baseball Playground. I'm Matt McGowan. I'm head baseball coach in Southern California. Jacob Odell is here with us.
Yep. Ex-college baseball player. And
Hell fucking college baseball player. Excuse my language. Heck of a college baseball player. But no, we're, started this Baseball Playground podcast because I personally, as a coach, am just sick of all these rankings and BS that people pay to go do. And, and I think it's hurting college baseball. I think, there's some top flight guys that get picked up, but a lot of these kids, they don't. And they're going to these other schools or these JUCOs or not getting looked at all because they're at a smaller school or something like that. And you're seeing college baseball miss on a lot of guys. So really that's the reason we started this thing. This is for the players. This is all about players, uncommitted baseball players. We're starting right now in Southern California, San Fernando Valley. Some of the best players have come through this area.
Yep.
Pete Crow, Armstrong, number one guy for the Cubs right now, minor league system. Hunter Green. There's been thousands upon thousands. You played in the Mission League, there's a ton.
Top tier competition.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's the best. That and the Trinity League are the two best leagues, probably in the state. So, to have somebody like you in the part of this and knowing, that league very well.
Yeah.
You see it. You see guys get missed. I mean, you had a kid on your team got missed. Grajeda, that kid was a stud.
Yep.
He's at an NAIA now. I feel bad, because he's a D1 guy. I mean, I don't feel bad for the team that got him. I feel bad for the teams that have to play him.
Yeah.
So, but no, we're really, I'm really excited to start this up. I think, again, this is all about the players, man. I just want players to get seen and get out there. And if we can move or help move one guy, then it's been worth it, So
yep, you're right. There's a lot of legit players out there who do get overlooked. They don't get seen as much. And a lot of the times, whether they can't get exposure themselves or their families don't have as much money to put up forth for the exposure. My family was one of those people where my mom had no idea how to get me exposure. I didn't know how to get myself exposure. And of course, you can go online and look at YouTube, all these other prospecting sites and stuff, but they always ask for that upfront charge, or whether you go to a tournament and you have to sign up for something, and then later down the line you get hit with that a charge or a bill, even though it's a no credit card fee or whatever. But we really want to help out these, young athletes who want to pursue a dream, want to continue on that dream, because for a lot of them, it does end after high school. And
for most of them,
it's a sad part.
Yeah.
So we're not aiming to get these kids into the minors or the majors, which is always awesome. We want to get these kids to, follow their passion in college, maybe even get to that point in the future. But this is the next stepping stone in their life where, maybe they aren't going D1.
Absolutely.
And that's completely fine, because there's the narrative around it is just everybody. If you're not going D1, you're nobody. You know how many kids get drafted that aren't from D1?
A lot.
Yeah. And everybody goes through the same feeder systems once you get to that area. And it's an equal competition just straight from there. And you're learning from the best minds. So that's what this show is completely about, is bringing together, our knowledge together. And then also other coaches, other professionals, other prospects, bringing them onto the show to help you guys give you guys as much value and information that you can to get you to the next stage, and also help you out with exposure, which is awesome.
100%. This is for the players. This is for the kids. We didn't have this. I didn't have this when I played, and I was a two-time All-American in college and had a pretty fantastic career. I didn't have this. We had to do it the hard way, and hopefully we got seen at a tournament or something. And I just we want to help kids, and again, you hit the nail on the head. It does not have to be D1. All right. JUCO, there is some great JUCO baseball.
Yeah.
I mean, all over the country. There is fantastic Division IIs. I played Division II baseball. I thought it was great. I thought I was prepared, playing at that next level. I thought it was a great opportunity for me. I played under some fantastic coaches. Kevin Pillar was my roommate. Which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Had some great experiences. But again, it's one of those things where this is for them, and let's get these guys moving and grooving, and hopefully, some of these coaches that we bring on and some of these, guys that maybe know a little bit more than us, can help guide some of these players to the next level.
You're right about that.
So, Jacob, I mean, you've been a part of this. We're talking about the San Fernando Valley. We're going to talk about many states and many areas, but for the first episode, we thought San Fernando Valley had to be discussed. The Mission League, fierce.
That's what I would say.
I mean, you look at Notre Dame High School, you look at Harvard Westlake, you look at these guys that have dominated the league. Crespi's coming up. You were a Crespi Celt. I mean, is this league the toughest or second toughest league in I think probably the country?
Yeah, I would say statistically that this is definitely up there, top 5, top 2, I would say. I mean, the Trinity League, California in general, is very competitive with a lot of things that is going on. A lot of events are hosted here. A lot of teams travel to come here just for the competition, which tells you something. Nobody's going to Iowa for a competition for something like that, because out here there's the competition, there's the exposure, there's the eyes, there's the ears, and there's a lot of radars.
Absolutely.
So that's what
radar guns.
That's what I would say for the California League. And the other big thing is we play on some really nice fields.
100%.
We play on some top tier baseball fields, which is another great thing. However, within the league, the competition, like I said, is definitely fierce. And because of the qualities of the league, that it attracts top tier athletes.
Absolutely.
So when I'm 15 years old and I'm seeing 88, 90 miles an hour at the age of 15 years old.
Yeah, on a JV team.
And I'm over here and I'm in the batter's box and I'm looking like, oh my God, this guy's going to hurt me. Like my head's coming off right now. And at that point, in my life, I didn't have the confidence yet in the batter's box where, I'd get a hit here and there or whatnot. But at the same time, there's these kids that are pumping gas.
100%.
And you got kids, we would call kids vacuums on the field, because they would just, suck everything up on the field. You put a ball in play, they make the play.
Yeah.
And you're out. And that's what the competition's like in the Mission League, is everybody's a vacuum, everybody's throwing hard, everybody's hitting the baseball hard. And if you're not standing out in some way, shape, or form, then you're going to get eaten up.
I agree fully. And I think that's why I feel like that's why some of these coaches, at the college level miss on so many guys, because they're playing some top tier talent, but you're getting the second best second baseman, in off this team or that team, and sometimes they don't translate. It doesn't work. Where we have guys in the Pacific League, I mean, there's a kid, Nate Chapman, who we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
Who gets overlooked because of his size, and maybe he's not in the Mission League or he's not in the Trinity League. But there is so much great baseball and great baseball minds all around this area. And I feel like a lot of, kids maybe get overshadowed because they're not in the Mission League, or they're not getting that they're not throwing 95, and they're not going to Vanderbilt. But, Cal State LA, Cal State Dominguez Hills, San Bernardino. I mean, they're some of the best Division II schools in the country are in our area, and some of these guys aren't going there. I'm D1 or bust, and it's I just don't get it. Again, I want to make sure that these kids get seen and get everything they can to. If we can help them, fantastic. But the whole area, man. I mean, from Agora, to Oxnard down to pretty much the border of San Diego. It's a different animal. Yeah. And then you got San Diego, which is a completely different animal, because there are some teams down there, Rancho Bernardo, Poway. I mean, they are, like you said, fierce. Okay. But yeah, no, it's a great time for baseball, I think, in this area, and this season is going to be amazing. So yeah. I'm really excited.
Yeah, I think it'll be very exciting nonetheless to see how the season plays out with a lot of these teams. And the big thing that I want to harp on is you see these guys, and it's a point that you touched on, is you see these athletes who say, D1 or bust. And a lot of them end up going D1. But once they get to that D1 point, I've had plenty of conversations with some of my friends that did go D1.
I know some that you're talking about, yeah.
And they get there and they're riding pine. You know, they were batting 450 in high school. They were star athletes, making all the plays on the field, where on our team, we were like, that kid's a stud. Like, that kid's going to go somewhere. And then he gets to the D1 level, and he's a nobody. And that's a quick ego check for a lot of these kids. And he's one of the players that I will say is now, he's leaving D1, and he's now going somewhere else. He's going to go play JUCO, and he's actually going to play baseball, which is his dream to do, and not ride pine.
Yeah, not doing a chart.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's not what any of our jobs are. None of us want to chart pitch counts or anything.
But being a team guy, you do it,
Yes.
But I totally agree. I think, the players don't realize that there are so many opportunities out there. It's unbelievable. I mean, you went to Iowa, right? Like, what an amazing experience.
Awesome.
And you had to leave home. It was out of your comfort zone. But again, you were a kid that was in the Mission League, maybe didn't get the looks that they probably deserved. I mean, you go to a school in Iowa, you're a freaking all-conference player.
All conference,
so
340, 7 bombs. Never hit a home run in my life in high school.
Yeah.
And
so
it was crazy.
Absolutely. So now it's like a completely different, situation. But, speaking of kids getting overlooked, I mean, there's a kid at Chaminade right now in West Hills that is, I mean, we played against him. I think he's, if not the best uncommitted guy in the area. Really? He is the number 2. Like, I just don't realize how he's not committed. He was a commit to UCLA. He decommitted from there. And kids are looking at it. I mean, the kids on my team are looking at him like, that is a grown man. Like, that is a 30-year-old man. He is so strong. I mean, defensively, the arm strength is there. He plays third base. I mean, Miles Ghoosein at Chaminade is a guy that, again, he goes D1. Yeah, he's probably a really, really solid D1 guy. Like, the fact that Seaumus or some of these other teams aren't just, all over him shocks me, because he is a kid that, again, he's going to come in and he's going to transform your position there. He'll be there for 4 years. He'll be your third baseman for 4 years. And he's a guy that, he can hit at that level. He can field at that level. He can pitch at that level if he has to. He's one of the Chaminade's pitchers this year as well. There's some guys that, again, get overlooked. And the kid's amazing. Absolutely unbelievable. So I'm really excited for him. Hopefully he gets picked up. Hopefully he goes somewhere. I know PBR was looking at him, really? When we were playing. And, and that's one of those things where, a lot of these kids do the PBR and do the perfect game and do all these things. And what happens when it doesn't work? Like, what do you do when you've forked over all this money and it just doesn't, not saying that those things don't work, because they do, but what happens if, that coach's eyes are down when you're hitting or somebody misses something. And I feel like there's some misses out there that, we're not getting the best baseball players out, you got some kids, Nate Chapman, for instance, second baseman out of Burroughs, 5'4", 5'5" on a good day.
Yeah.
The kid is stronger than all heck. He is, he'll do pull-ups for days. He's a leadoff batter. He runs, a sub 6'5", 60, blazing speed. He's a second baseman, but he's a baseball player.
Yeah.
You talk to some of these guys, and I ask them, like, hey, when these services come out and see our guys, I go, what do you think of my second baseman? Little Nate Chapman. Oh, well, he's a little small, and he's this and he's that, and it just brings me back to that. It's not the fight of the dog. It's the heart. You know what I mean? Like, how much heart does that kid have? And he's a baseball player.
Yeah.
You cannot tell me different. He is. He's better than 90% of the players in the area.
Yep.
Because he's a baseball player.
Yeah.
Like, that kid grinds. He's not that. We look for projection. He's going to be 5'6".
Yep.
All right, maybe 5'7". Hopefully.
Yeah.
But he's a baseball player.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those kids that, another reason why hopefully we can get him somewhere, and can't wait to talk to some of these coaches, because what are we looking for? If you can't find a kid like that,
Right.
who's all heart and all team and a stud, man, we're missing on some really good players.
Yeah, you have this huge population, not only within the San Fernando Valley or within LA or the Mission League or Trinity League, not only within there, but across the country. You have millions of kids who are sitting inside of this, this portal, essentially, with a couple video clips, with a couple coaches that are just scrolling on this endless sheet of paper. How are they supposed to just go, I want that guy, right? And like you said, he's not the biggest, he's not the strongest, but man, he's a baller.
He's a baseball player.
And you have to go watch him play to know this, which is the unfortunate truth, is you can't just say on paper, you see 5'6", however much he weighs, but then you see his stat line and you're like, holy crap.
Yeah.
This kid plays.
Yeah.
Because Nate, I can't say enough good things just based off of what
Kid
I've
has
seen.
2 errors the whole year, all CIF guy, wins a CIF ring as a sophomore with his brother, and everyone's like, oh, well, his height. Like, man, last I checked, ground balls are about, a foot off the ground, maybe. Like, he's taller than that. So, he's going to be okay. So, it's things like that where, it blows my mind, man, because he's a kid. He's a bona fide star. You're not missing on him.
Yeah.
Because his work ethic is just so strong. So, but again, you want to take a 6'3" kid to play second base, go for it. Good luck. But I just really think that guy is a kid that's going to turn some heads, and he's Altuve, man. He is the next little Altuve in the area, and like you said though, you talked about nationwide. There's a ton of kids like him. There's a ton of kids that are baseball players that get overshadowed because their height or their weight or how they look, bad body, right? Like, we had a kid that that we both know. Oh man, he has a bad body. Like, that's why he's not D1. The kid hits 14 home runs, buddy. Like, who cares? Like, develop him, his body, get him on a program where he doesn't eat so much or whatever it may be. But the fact that you're like, oh yeah, no, we're giving up on him because he has a bad body is absolutely insane to me. Because the last I checked, if you can hit that little ball coming at you pretty hard, I mean, that's pretty special. That's the hardest thing to do in sports.
It is.
So it blows my mind, man. It absolutely just kills me when you see these guys. Oh, bad. There's always excuses. Yeah. It's never like, let's take a flyer on it. Let's go for it. It's a free player possibly. Don't give him any money. Just give him an opportunity. How many of those guys hit? I guarantee it's a lot more than miss. The hard workers, the guys that are baseball players that just want that opportunity. So, but yeah, no, I mean, there's so many, and it's one of those things that we deal with as coaches, and we feel bad because, I'm a guy that calls coaches every day. Yeah. And I'm annoying and I'm persistent, and you got to come look at this guy, come look at this guy, come look at this guy. And I'll call you on the 10th day in a row and be like, hey, if you don't want the 11th phone call, like, you should probably come take a look at this guy. Exactly. So, but as you know, like, it's a different beast out here, but nationwide, there's kids out there that just need this type of platform to get that exposure. And like you said, what's the difference between you and 500 kids that send an email with their stat line to Vanderbilt? Yeah. Like, good luck. So
tip of the cap to you.
Yeah, absolutely. If you get picked up because of that, like,
big
wow.
props. Yeah,
absolutely.
Now, one of my questions that I have for you specifically, though, is, since you've been coaching for so long, you were in the league and everything of that sort, what can a kid who maybe their coach isn't putting forth their best effort with the recruiting aspect, where they're not like you, who's calling up all these other kids, all these other coaches, and they need to get exposure, but they don't know how. So what's their first step?
I think that's a great question. I think number one is you need to collect as much data on yourself as possible, right? And have it actually like laid out, like have it on an Excel sheet, have it, make sure your dad's not doing Game Changer or something like that, like have like actual stats, because sometimes you get these parents that are like, oh yeah, my kid batted 580 and like really 210, but whatever, it is what it, oh, that wasn't an error. But no, you collecting video, making Twitters, put a Twitter out there, posting videos. But a lot of kids, I feel they do the Twitter, and they're not giving a coach everything they need, right? So like when you create a Twitter, it shouldn't be like, big baller 55, dropping bombs, like it should be like your name, like Jacob Odell, my GPA, the school I go to, the positions I play, my height, my weight, my SAT score, because that's what's going to, when someone sees something that they like, they're going to click on that bio. And if they have all the information needed and you're a candidate that can play at that level, and they're like, oh, wow, this kid has a 1400 or 1460, SAT, GPA is 3.8, like, that plays that we can get him into our school. Like, I feel like so many kids make it so much harder than they have to. They all have Twitters. Everyone has a Twitter. Everyone has an Instagram. Everyone has all those things. Yeah. But they're just not marketing themselves well enough to give all the information needed, right? Don't just put your hits, put some outs, I'll never forget. I was talking to the Red Scout Rex De La Nuez, and he was talking about like he can tell if a kid can hit whether he hits the ball or not, right? I mean, the swing, the bat path, how the body moves. I mean, that's what they do for a living, is break these things down, and coaches do the same thing, right? As a coach, I can see a kid who can't hit, an inside fastball. I guess what, I'm gonna throw you an inside fastball. It's the same thing though. Market yourself in a way where you're showing, the positives, but showing out a hard line drive that, oh, well, it was an out, but we saw everything, your movement, all the fielding stuff that you do, don't just put, your 19-step crow hop from shortstop to first base so that you get I'm 82 across the diamond. Right. Like that doesn't translate. Like, let's see how fast you can get the ball out of your glove to first base so you throw the guy out by 15 feet. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big contrary opinion that I would say that a lot of people, or at least a misunderstanding with throughout baseball. Everybody posts the good. Nobody posts the bad or the ugly.
Yeah, and bad doesn't have to be like 5 errors. Like, I would definitely not post 5 errors. But bad can be, like you field a ground ball and you throw it, in the dirt or whatever, and the guy picks you up, but it was a great play. You laid out or whatever, something that is unique. You know what I mean? Because so many kids are so scared to post anything that is possibly a negative. And then you become a show pony, right? And what a show pony is someone who, is somebody who goes to these showcases, they take their 3 ground balls, they crow hop, they throw it. Oh, wow, he looks really good. But that doesn't translate into a game. Like
I can field ground balls all day.
Going back to some of these players, like show ponies, and every program has them. Every single program has them. Every college program has them. And I guarantee that half the programs are like, dang, we hit this. We got a hit on this kid. Like this kid's really good and he's solid. But I guarantee there's a percentage that they're like, man, this kid shouldn't be at this level. He should be at D2 or D3 or NAIA or JUCO, to get better, because, I feel like a lot of these videos and showcase things sometimes really don't show the whole aspect of the player. And that's why I encourage coaches to come to games. So,
wow. Yeah, the exposure aspect, more of doing the due diligence of yourself as a player rather than expecting somebody else to do it for you.
Absolutely. I mean, going back to, the Twitter aspect and making sure that you're posting your videos, you should be sending emails. You should be giving phone calls. Be annoying. Yeah. I'm annoying and I'm going to call. And I, as a coach, I do that, like I said. Yeah. But I encourage players to do that. Like find out what you need to do, especially if you're a young player. Like you're allowed to call coaches. They're not allowed to call you at certain ages. So go to their camps, pick their brains. If you really want to go to Pepperdine, you really want to go to, Cal State LA, you really want to go to Morningside College, like you need to go see what they like, what terminologies they use, like what can separate you to the point where they're like, oh, wow, we really like this kid.
I love it, man.
We're trying, got to do what's best for these kids and really figure out a way or the best way to get them as far as we can. So,
yeah.
But yeah, no, I think that, as you said too, it's something that, you've been a part of, right? You go to these showcases and then they go, oh, sign up for this. Mm-hmm. And then you sign up for it and they're like, oh, we're going to get you exposure. We're going to get you all this stuff. And then it's $3,500.
Yeah. They give you a sales pitch.
Yeah. This is why. Oh, we'll tell you how many kids are being recruited by this. Oh, man. I don't have that. I know a lot of kids in my program don't have it. A lot of kids in the areas don't have it. And I think that that's something that, is a reason why people miss. Mm-hmm. And we're just trying to eliminate that.
All right, so you've talked about Nate and you've talked about Miles and their prospect abilities and their athletic abilities, but what about some other kids off the top of your head that that can actually, are uncommitted and are under the radar in a way?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, first of all, there's so many. Yeah. And we sent out a little form to some of the coaches in the area just saying, hey, we're doing this podcast, like send us some uncommitted, videos and things like that. And we got a great list of kids. But, some of the kids that just come off the top of my head, Nick Forrest being one of them. I mean, Nick Forrest was, the Division V Player of the Year. He was the Pacific League Player of the Year as a junior. He's been all league every year. He's been on varsity, which is, he's been on varsity since he was a sophomore. The kid last year pitching, I think averaged 12 strikeouts a game. So you're playing like 8 outs, 9 out, like, hey team, like get 9 outs, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things that it's awesome to have a kid like that. I know he pitched in Tustin in the semifinal for Burroughs to go to the championship game. He had the first 10 batters were strikeouts, and it's not that he's overpowering. He just is a good pitcher. Yeah. Like he's not 92, 95. He's not in that realm, but he's upper eights and he throws curveballs for strikes, changeups for strikes, slide. I mean, the kid is a pitcher. And he does a great job commanding the zone. His poise is amazing. But he's a guy uncommitted, I mean, yeah. And he has a 4.5 GPA and he has, almost a 1500 SAT. It's one of those kids that's like, why he's 6'3". Why is he not getting looks? And I get it. It might be, he might not be a fit for someone, or it might be too late. For certain schools, they've already have their class. But, I mean, there is no way that kid should be around. Like, he should be committed, signed, sealed, and delivered. Another kid that we definitely, off the top of my head, Joey Blank. Shortstop out of Agora High School. Coach Chev up at Agora is, I mean, one of my mentors, but also one of the most in-depth and when you talk about coaches that prepare their kids for the next level, I mean, he has endless, and I literally mean endless amounts of kids at the college level. Like whether it's JUCO, whether it's D1, D2, D3. I mean, he pumps kids out like it's, it's a farm club. Awesome. just he's amazing. Yeah. And I think a lot of coaches try to be like him, in that aspect of getting kids to the next level. He just does such a great job. But shortstop, first team all league in their league, in the Marmani league, and absolute stud.
Yeah.
Why is he not being committed? The kid's a 3-hole hitter. He drives pitches other way. I mean, he was a Mission League guy, ended up moving, ended up having to go to Agora. But I mean, he's a kid that, again, where is the Cal State LA? Where is the Dominguez Hills? Where are these D2? It doesn't have to be D1. Where are these D2 schools? Chico State. Like, Chico State comes down here and gets some of the best players that I can think of. Quintanilla, the kid from Arcadia, Eskridge. Like, they come down here and get really solid baseball players. That kid is really solid. He's somebody that they should definitely be taking a look at. And then there's a catcher out of Glendale High, which I know it's a shock to say Glendale High. But Frankie Malagon, I mean, that kid he is a college baseball player. Like, he is going to do great things wherever he goes. I think he'll be a late sign, a late commit, because I think people are going to see how Glendale does this year, and I think they're going to be really, really strong. They got 2 really good pitchers. They got a really good coach with Frank Tormina. I'll be really shocked if they're not, probably one of the best teams in their division with this kid leading them. I mean, the kid, he went to the Easton Tournament dinner, and I think he had the fastest exit velo and was hitting balls harder than anyone that was at that dinner.
Awesome.
Amazing, right? Like, you're at Glendale High. Like, that's not very common for that area. But yeah, no, he's exciting to watch. Throws guys out. Great body behind the plate. I mean, he's a kid, again, 4.0 student. Why are these schools not looking at him? And it's, to me, I just think that they're just not going out to be seen, right? Like, if I'm a college recruiter or if I'm a college coach, like, I'm trying to go to as many high school games as possible, right? Like, that's what keeps me, that's my bread and butter, right? Exactly. That's what keeps me having a job, is trying to get the best guys. And yeah, I'm shocked that some of these guys aren't taken. There's a kid out of Campbell Hall, Seaumus O'Malley. I mean, outfielder, runs like a deer. He's probably a D2, D3 guy, but again, extremely smart, first team all-leaguer, and he's in Sierra Canyon's league, Sierra Canyon and Paraclete and Viewpoint. Those are some tough teams. And yeah, he's a kid that I feel is getting overlooked and should definitely get some run, get somebody to come take a look at him, because the kid can play he is a baseball player. I feel like I have to stress that with so many kids. Like, yeah, he's not a show pony, and he might not look great in that uniform because he's a little skinny, but he runs like a deer. He's fast. He'll catch a fly ball. He's going to throw somebody out, and he hits the ball to all fields with some power. So it's just, it's one of those things that there's some really good baseball out there, and it's so exciting.
Yeah, no, that's a lot of kids are getting overlooked, and like you mentioned, all those kids have some special talent, and they just need to be seen.
I agree. I just think it's something that, again, maybe it's one of those things that it's an anomaly. I don't get it. Maybe there's just too much talent in the San Fernando Valley that teams don't have enough time to go look at anyone else besides the Mission League, or Birmingham or one of these other places. But Burroughs, at our school, we've been fortunate getting a lot of kids out since I've been there the last couple of years, and winning CIF obviously helps. But yeah, it's really tough. It's really tough as a coach, and it shocks me sometimes with some of these kids. Like, man, this kid could play. So, but yeah.
Awesome. If you enjoyed today's episode, definitely go check out our social medias, which are The Baseball Playground, and go check out our website at thebaseballplayground.com so that you can go submit your information on our prospect portal so we can actually review all of your clips and your statistics and everything of that sort, just so you can get more exposure online. And we are free. We are here to help you out.
Free.
Free, free. There is no cost associated with this whatsoever. All we ask is that you provide us with your social media accounts so that we can tag you, post you, and actually promote you so that more college baseball coaches can see you so that you can get committed. So thanks for listening in to the Baseball Playground.
If you liked what you heard, please subscribe.
You betcha.